The number one question that I've gotten recently is about my process and about the supplies that I use. So I'm going to walk you through the creation of this piece that you're seeing right here. These are the resources and supplies that I used to create it, and I'm going to be very descriptive on how I created that artwork that you just saw. Started out with the pencil drawing. Unlike my step-by-step videos that you guys see, if you are a subscriber to this channel, this is a lot more loose. I don't want it to be extremely rigid, extremely, I don't know if I could call my work photorealistic, but realistic looking. I want this to be fun. I think that, if you recreate something that exists already, that's pretty boring. And it's a great skill to know how to do, because you can always incorporate that skill later. When I draw, I'm really interested in something that's funky looking, something that's really cool. After I did pencil drawing, I put my drawing in a scanner so that I could work on it on the computer. I don't always like my drawings, and Photoshop, Paint Shop Pro, they give me the ability to edit things. So I definitely take advantage of that. I just cut off the lady's head there and the ping pong paddle. I liked the dress that I saw. I just saw that picture and I was like, "That's an old lady dress." So I had to incorporate that into my work. I love collage. I worked at a school in Harlem that was right by where Romare Bearden grew up. So I became a huge fan of him by default, and he's been a very big influence to me. Anyway, after I do the Photoshop and Paint Shop Pro work, I print it out and then I get ready to use my hands again. Now I'm using illustration markers. These are so versatile. They could be used in so many ways, and in fact you're going to see me use these markers on a few different layers of the work that you're seeing right now. But I'm just getting the first layer of color in. It's almost like an underpainting for those of you who are familiar with painting. And, it might seem that the colors are off, and they are. But, the blue in the hair, the red on the face, that's going to peek through later when I start putting opaque layers on with color pencil. And I'm actually going to debut a supply paint markers, opaque paint markers, at the end of this video. So I'm looking at the entire picture. I'm trying to kind of tie everything together because it gets tricky when you put different photographs in. It's almost like Frankenstein. He was the ugly beast, the ugly monster that could not coexist with the world. You kind of want your piece to be tied together more normal looking, I suppose. And this step right here with the paint markers is going to help with that. You're going to see me use color pencil as well. I put a sheet of paper there because when you can mix these markers, but you're going to need to wipe off the tips. So for instance, I could use two different colors with the paint markers, and I could use the tips to blend them, but you don't want the paint to dry in there. So I always, after I finish blending the colors, I wipe it off on another sheet of paper, and it works like new again. These markers are fantastic. You can layer paint almost like you're painting, and for those of you who don't really have the time to set up and clean up oil paint or acrylic paint, they're fantastic to use. I have a 1-year-old at home, and he keeps me pretty busy. Let's put it this way, I do a lot of cleaning up, and this way, if I'm tired, I keep that promise that I made to myself to do one work of art per day. And, I think that you could get more sophisticated results with actual painting. But these come a very close second, and they're a really cool material to try. And if worst comes to worst, if I don't like what I do, I could always put some actual paint. Well, there is actual paint on the inside, but what I'm trying to say is I could do the traditional process right on top of this. I think of these materials just as means. Like, there's some artists that define themselves as painters, or people that draw. They just they pigeon-toe themselves into one category. I think being an artist is about being an image maker, and there's so many ways to do that today. And if you label yourself as just one thing, it's ridiculous. Okay, jumping ahead now, I scanned it again, and it's back in Photoshop and PaintShop Pro. I use both. I'm not a master at either one, but I know little bits of both. Last thing that I do, I save my work as a PNG file. It's almost like recycling, but it's so that I could use them over and over again. And I've actually scanned some of my work that I did, 5-10 years ago. I'm reusing, different characters that I've made over the years, and I have hundreds now. And I'm putting this funky little scene together. It's going to be a ping pong party. I guess that's the name of it. Little Old Man. Yeah, a lot of you guys ask me questions about him. He was my first character. That's why he's my mascot. He does not really exist. Everybody's like, is that your grandpa? No, it's not. That's Little Old Man. I have a new section on my website. It's called Supplies That I Use, and it goes into details. I'm going to leave a link in the video description. Thanks for watching, folks.